Hmm. Ah, there goes the Facebook. Cool. Hello and welcome back to Guidance and Recovery Sobriety Journeys with your host, Keegan. Today we're joined by Amanda Fasciano, the visionary author of the Otherworld saga and founder of Battle Goddess Press. She is an expert in transforming deep seated trauma into personal purpose. She's here to show us that while we can't change our history, we can absolutely seize the power to rewrite our ending. So, Amanda, how have you been since our last episode?
I've been good, thank you. I do want to say that I am not a founder of Battle Goddess. That is a
Oh,
friend of mine.
sorry.
I am just one of the teachers. No, you're good.
Oh,
I just wanted to correct
teachers.
that
There we go.
before Val comes back and goes, "Excuse me."
Fair enough. You got to make sure credit is due where it's due, correct?
Yeah.
So in that regard though, what is one of the myths that you're willing to bust about recovery or healing from traumas?
That you don't have to be an adult about it.
Ooh.
A lot of people say, journal and go for walks and things like that. If it feels good to you, if it helps you, get coloring books, get paints, get Legos. Don't You don't have to be an adult simply because you are over the age of 18. If it feels good, if it helps you get your thoughts in order while you're doing it, if it helps you figure stuff out while you're doing it, I mean, you can see I have a whole bunch of toys behind me, so you don't have to be an adult.
Okay. I love that outlook. You don't have to be an adult to heal, to kind of I mean that kind of makes sense though, right? Because a lot of our traumas we inherit or get it programmed with or just have happen whenever we are children. So it kind of makes sense that
Yes.
we might have to go backwards a little bit to go forwards. Does that feel right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. I've
okay.
got my coloring books and my Legos and everything, and it helps me feel better. So,
Yeah. So, do you think that to you is that what part of trauma recovery is all about? It's just feeling better in a sense?
in a sense, because when you feel better, you feel stronger and you
Mm.
can actually look at the hurdles without feeling like the hurdles are 20 feet tall.
Mm.
If you feel better, calmer, happier, stronger, whatever better looks like for you, then the hurdles are normal hurdles or perhaps even little speed bumps. They're not 20 feet tall, which is what they usually look like when you're hurting, when you're scared, all of that. So
Hmm.
it can really help.
Okay. I love that outlook because it kind of reminds me of like addiction recovery. And for myself, addiction recovery is part trauma recovery as well. And that's one of the things that like in the big book of AA, they talk about making like ant hills into mountains because we'll sit there and look at a problem and be like, ah, no. And it's a huge obstacle to overcome. But once we're in recovery, it starts to be like, oh, why was I worried about that? That doesn't really sound right anymore, you know. So
Yeah.
did you kind of have
Yeah.
that experience like going from haunted houses and that kind of trauma to adult life?
The haunted houses weren't really my trauma. Those were actually kind of the fun parts of my growing up. My trauma was a little more on the dark side, believe that or not. Um, so just a lot of different things that I have dealt with through my writing a lot. And it's my father was an alcoholic
Hmm.
and he was undiagnosed bipolar most of his life. And I have acute depression and acute anxiety. And my general stance is, oh well, at least there's something cute about me. So, you know, it's just kind of like, I have my medications and I stay safe. And my father, towards the end of his life, finally got his medications, and there was a lot of healing that we were able to do that way. And believe it or not, that man loved Legos. And that was one of those turnarounds because he was always the You can't watch cartoons after you're 10 years old. You can't go trick or treating after you're 10 years old. You're growing up, you have to be an adult. You put away the childish stuff. And no, when he started going through therapy and when he started going through addiction recovery, he got all of the childhood back. Board games, card games, things like that. And I took that to heart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So while I was sitting there watching him go through this, and I was an adult with my own children at that point, my kids were in grade school, I really took that to heart and just, doubled down on playing with my kids. And we went into the board game hobby. And it's just really been very helpful with everything I've had to deal with.
Oh man, I'm really sorry to hear that he had his troubles that he went through, and it sounds like he passed some of that stuff onto you unintentionally. But it's really interesting that you kind of saw that like progress with him, and you were able to take that to heart. So it's kind of cool that his healing also helped you in the end too, right?
It really did. It really did. Getting to see the 180 that he did, that he was able to do, and what he was like once he was starting to conquer everything instead of just masking it, it really did help
Mm,
because then I could in turn try to use it to deal with some of my stuff. And while I was aware of his alcoholism my whole life, and I'd been very, very careful about not going down that path. Um, it just because I didn't have the addiction didn't mean I didn't have other problems with the depression and the anxiety and things like that. And getting to find ways to deal with that as he found ways to deal with his addiction, with his recovery, with his healing, and coming to terms with everything that he'd been doing through his life. It really helped, and it gave me a different perspective.
mm-hmm.
And I think in that I've been able to help my kids because they're now in their 20s. And, I hope I've given them healthy coping mechanisms, and I've tried to teach them what I learned and what worked for me.
Yeah. I'm sure that they've learned a lot of really great stuff from you. And I mean, you did say something that kind of made me question not like it makes me question some of the things that I've done in my past and what other people may do in their recovery because you said conquer versus masking. And that's a great way to look at that. So, first, what was like conquering? What did that look like versus masking for either your father or maybe even something that you went through yourself?
Masking for me is just pretending the problem doesn't exist.
Mm,
You're aware of it, but you're not looking at it. You're just, I'm not going to examine that too closely. I'm not going to unpack that box right now. I'm just going to pretend that that doesn't, we're just going to leave that out the door, doesn't exist, don't need it, whatever. That doesn't help. So, um, it's still there. So when you can actually go into it and find ways that help you deal with it, and it doesn't always have to be the same way for each problem. Um, One I had, which is sexual trauma, is I wrote it's actually in a story in a book that's getting published later this year. So I'm putting my healing process out there. It's just masked as fiction,
hmm,
but that helped me because it I was able to go through it a little bit more, and
hmm,
finally I can now go. It happened, but it doesn't control me.
mm,
Whereas I play with my Legos or arrange my little horror figures, and um, I'm able to just deal with something else, or remember happy times with my friends because, I am great at running away and focusing myself into solitude, which
mm,
I do a lot because I live here and I don't have anybody around me.
mm,
But it's, well, it's part what I need though. It's part hiding, and I'm working on that. And
mm.
it's also part just taking the time for myself that I finally get. So, and I think I've completely tangented away from your initial question. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That's part of healing, and that's part of recovery journeys. Whether it's something that is like, oh, this is one problem, I know how to deal with it, so I'm going to deal with it. And then it's like, oh, let me deal with this box. And it's like, oh, shit, I forgot I had this box in there too. Now I got to deal with that box. And it's like boxception.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it really is. Because if you take out one piece out of that box and deal with that piece the best of your ability, no matter how long it takes you to find the perfect place for it in the apartment of your mind or whatever. Just do that one piece and then go back to the box when you're ready and take out another piece. Eventually that box is going to empty.
yeah.
Eventually you aren't going to have as much to deal with. Eventually you'll have better coping mechanisms for all of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's great that you mentioned like the apartment of your mind because I've always done like mind mansions, if you will. And because I remember hearing that that was how people would memorize like a deck of cards. And apparently, like, there's a world record for like who can memorize the deck of cards the quickest and like what order and stuff like that, like after it's been shuffled. And so I thought that that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
wow.
Yeah. Are you familiar with mind mansions and stuff like that?
No, I'm not.
So it's kind of like you have like your inner world or whatever, but you have like a mansion or just like a really big house of sorts. And you have like the east wing, the west wing, so on and so forth. Each like area is like attributed to different things. And then you have different rooms that are attributed to different memories and stuff like that. So it utilizes the same concept of like traveling in a city. It's like, oh, I know
Oh,
what businesses are on this street because I've walked down it so many times, and so on and so forth. Like apparently, taxi drivers have a crazy high IQ or just really good memory and recall because they use that kind of thinking a lot, and so it kind of helps categorize it without sitting there and saying, oh, it's a file in a folder in a giant like file cabinet like in SpongeBob, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's an actual it's an actual like room you can walk into and be like, "Oh, wait, let me look at this box and see what was attributed to this memory in certain ways." So,
Yeah.
that was just sorry for that tangent.
No, that's absolutely fine. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so whenever we're dealing with these kind of boxes of sorts, what box for you has been one of the heaviest to either lift or like go through? Which one did you not want to deal with for the longest time?
Probably the rape.
Mm.
That was probably the worst one for me to deal with, and I actually had buried a lot of those memories. And I went through EMD therapy, which is eye movement,
Mhm.
and it helped recall some of that, which then brought up other stuff. And it was not easy, but the point was to get through it because I
Mhm.
wanted to deal with it. I knew the box was there. I didn't know quite the shape of what was in it, but I knew it was there. And that was very helpful to do. And it just, that was probably the worst thing. And because I got that worst thing out, I've now been able to attack everything else that I've got a little bit better, I think.
Mm.
Once you get the big scary one out of the way, it is a lot easier because you can always just go, well, it's not as bad as that thing was. So,
Yeah. Kind of like swallowing the toad almost. And, and like getting the hardest thing out of the way first, you know? But
yeah,
I mean, I'm really sorry to hear that that happened and sorry that it left such a scar. But I'm really glad that you were able to get through it, and I'm glad that you were able to work past it because it sounds like you've done a lot of really good work on yourself and hopefully with everyone else that you've come into contact with since then, you know. But did you find that you were using that box as like a table to place everything else on?
yeah, yeah. I really was. And it was kind of funny because it's like I knew it was there. It was like that table in your hallway. That's where you put your keys, where you put your mail. Everything else goes there. It's just the catch-all. And it was, problems with the kids, problems with my husband, problems with this, that, and the other. And, I wasn't looking at any of it too closely and occasionally purging what was on top without going in the bottom. So
Mm.
once everything happened with the divorce, it was like, okay, screw this. I'm working on me.
Mm.
I'm done trying to be everything to everybody. My kids are adults and I'm on my own now. So I am just going to take this time, work on me, figure out what the hell I want, and go from there. So
Yeah. Oh man, it sounds like that was a lot of work. Did it feel like you were moving into a new area, or did it feel kind of weird without that catch-all table being there? Like, did that take adjustments to get used
it
to?
feels weird for the first. It feels weird for the first little bit, and then it becomes normal, and you're
Mm.
okay with it.
Okay.
And now, like, I look back and it's like, well, I don't have that table there, but God, that frees up so much more room, you know? So it's very much a trade-off of, yeah, I don't have that table anymore to throw the other things on, but that means I'm not ignoring the other things until they get bigger or worse. And it means I have more room in general for other things, which
Mm.
I've chosen to open up to being more good things. And, I can accept the better things that are coming to me instead of just going, nope, don't deserve it, don't have room for it, got it right there, just you're going to have to go. So,
I mean, that makes total sense. And I mean, I can imagine that it's a lot like getting rid of a family heirloom or something that's been in the house for who knows how long. And it's like, oh, well, it feels weird with that not being there. But now I can put in the entertainment center for a new TV or something like that.
yeah.
And I mean, you were also talking about how you get to deal with the things as they come up instead of just setting them aside and letting them collect dust or even grow into bigger things. So, I mean, do you try to do something with the stuff that shows up on a daily basis, or do you have like a little ritual where it's like at the end of the week you go through it or anything like that?
I try to deal with things as they come. I do have a journal. It is, as much as it is the quote unquote adult thing to do, it is a dragon journal, and it
Ooh.
is stone resin, and it's purple, and it has a big dragon eye on it, and I love it.
Huh.
So, child again. Um, I'm just like, reverse the
Yeah.
numbers. I'm 15. It's fine.
Yeah.
So but I do journal when I feel like I need to get something out, or if I'm feeling, there's, I think it's a Five Finger Death Punch song that's, I feel a little off today, nothing's right, something's going on inside me.
Mhm.
That song is on my daily playlist, and that is my, okay, let's take inventory here. Is something off today? And
Mm.
if there is, I will try to figure out what it is. And sometimes it might be as silly as something I watched made me feel a certain way, made me wish for wish my friends were closer, or want romance for whatever reason. And um, sorry, I'm still working on that one. But I try to go through it to not let them fester, because
Mm.
when you let them fester, that's when they get infected.
Mm, yeah, and those fester infected wounds are always they're harder to deal with because you've got to do so much more to do what would have been a much simpler task. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like if you want to keep a really tidy house or apartment, it's easier to put things up where they belong as soon as you're done using it instead of just setting it down wherever you're at. And
Yes.
it takes a few extra seconds, but damn it, that few extra seconds can feel like an eternity sometimes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'm there
And
too. I'm like sitting right here next to my laundry bag. But yeah, we'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's one of those adult things that can wait for a little bit. But
Yeah.
you did say something that was pretty cool, and I'm curious about it too because you said reverse the numbers and you're 15. So I'm wondering, like, for me, if I reversed it right now, I'd be older than I have ever been, which doesn't make sense. So I guess I can't do that. I guess there's a limit to that.
There's a limit to that. I'm 51, so it works for me.
But if you were like 56 and you reverse it, then you'd be 65. So it's like you're going into the future to work on yourself then. Weird. Because if I did it right now, it'd be 43. Wait, no, wait, hang on. This doesn't work either because I'm 33 right now. Damn it.
So you'd be the same age.
Ah.
You're
Well,
stuck where you're at. Sorry, Keegan.
shit. But I mean, that's the cool thing about healing is that it's not necessarily linear. We aren't always sitting
Yeah.
there saying like, I'm going to deal with this problem whenever like now because it's something that happened yesterday. It's like, oh, this is something that actually happened 10 years ago and I still am dealing with some of that stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it sounds like you use your storytelling to really not necessarily rehash, but to change the narrative of what happened to it's something that you're the heroine, if you will, of the story, right?
A little bit, yeah. It's not always as personal, and I think that was part of me growing as a human, not just as a storyteller. But
Mm.
that the book where I deal with this the sexual assault, um, the character actually becomes the opposite of what she was as a reaction to it,
Ooh.
and she still is worthy of love.
Mm.
She still is worthy of healing, whatever that looks like for her. Just
Mm-hmm.
because that happened, it didn't mean that she wasn't worthy of any of that. It didn't make her what the man tried to make her. And I write paranormal, so of course we're talking about vampires. So, um, but just because she's broken and um, dissociative and has multiple personality disorder from it, um, just it in my mind, no matter how broken you are, the bad things that have happened, you can still rebuild yourself.
Mm.
And that was part of that was survival through determination or self-determination.
Mm.
And I have other stories where it's uh, survival with beauty, survival with um, found family is a huge, huge theme in all of my books. And the fact that it is okay to grieve what you have lost,
Mm.
whether it's the ability to have coffee or a marriage. It's okay to grieve what you have lost. It doesn't matter how small or how big, it doesn't have to be gigantic, enormous loss. It can
Mm-hmm.
be something small as, like with COVID. My ex lost his taste for a good 3 years.
Damn.
Yeah, he was one of the first 10 in Lee County, Florida to get it
Wow.
because he was an x ray tech. He was taking chest x rays of people. Um,
Mm.
and he was one of the first 10 in the county to get it, and he got it bad. And he lost, I think it was a good 3 years. He didn't have taste. And I kept trying to tell him, it's okay to grieve. You
Yeah.
lost something. You lost something pretty big. He's like, oh, nobody died. I'm like, yeah, but your sense of taste did, and you kind of rely on that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's just, it's okay. It's okay to rebuild a family that isn't blood family. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to process however you need to process, going back to coloring books and Legos, you know. It's
Mm.
just do what you have to do for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for highlighting that. And I mean, I'm sorry to hear that he lost his sense of taste for 3 years. I can't imagine what that is, but I mean, uh, Yeah, that's rough. But I also can't imagine going through something like what you did, to where it takes away that self belief and self worth, and still being able to come out on the other side of it after all those years and saying, I am still worthy of this. And I love that you brought up the chosen family aspect too, because a lot of people don't have the blood family to really sit there and rely on, or maybe their blood family is what they're trying to get away from because they caused all this crap in the past that they're wanting to
Oh
heal
yeah.
from. And going back to those people just rehash it and cause old wounds, and then those people don't want to change because, in my personal opinion, I think a lot of people want us to stay as the version that they hold in their heads, you know. And so if we aren't that version, if they don't have power over us, then they're like, oh no, you healing, you changing is bad. And it's like, nah, that's not necessarily quite right. But um
Yeah.
you also brought up the Legos again, which also made me think of, like, after something like what happened with you, the like your Lego statue essentially broke, right? And so
Yeah.
you can sit there and you can try to rebuild the statue as it was, or you get to make something completely new. The Legos can be
Exactly.
reassembled in different ways, right?
Exactly. And that's especially how I've looked at like the last couple of years since the divorce has been like I my parents have passed. I don't have a husband. My kids are adults and functional on their own, which is wonderful, and I'm proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
And but nobody needs me. Nobody's yammering for my time. Nobody's saying be here, do this. So any be here or do this that I sign up for is something I have signed up for. It's my choice of how I
Mm-hmm.
spend my time. And if I want to sleep till 2 and coloring books all night, I can. Nobody's saying I can't. And that's just, you know, it's this freedom that you don't understand, until you actually can get it. And I don't recommend it for everybody because I function very well on my own. I am an only child and what Gen X. So, we were basically shoved out of the house at dawn and told to come back when the street lights come on. And, so raising myself, and I was an only child, so I didn't have siblings. I didn't have to worry about that. I'm very good at entertaining myself, which is why I write my stories, because that's what I do. I play with my imaginary friends. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get to send them all out into the world to play with everybody else. Um, but it's very healing to be able to take that step and go, I can do this. I am not beholden to anyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my field. This is my playing field. This is my home. This is anything, whether it's what you're doing as a job, whether it's how you're living your life, whether it's who you choose and choose not to keep in your circle. Going back to
Mm-hmm.
family, my mother was a covert narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
So, both my, and I understand where that came from. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, both my parents had their demons to fight, and that left marks on me. And I had my demons to fight, and so did my ex. And that has left marks on our children. As much as neither one of us wants that to be true, it has. And no parent is ever going to not leave a mark on a kid. You're so busy trying not to make the same screw ups that your parents did, you make whole new ones. But the point is to be aware of it
Mm-hmm.
and to go, look, I tried my best and I'm sorry. And I see that this was wrong now. How can I help?
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. And uh eh, sorry, there's a
Uh oh.
G.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. But I mean, you raise up a really good point. Like, parents don't necessarily want to, or shouldn't want to, rehash the same things that they went through for their children, you know. But you still brought up the good point that it still happens. Like, things will happen to where you're going to accidentally do this or do that, and going to be eventually like, oh shit, whoops. But I think that there's a big distinction there too, because being able to hold that accountability and saying like, oh, I'm sorry that I did that, like, what can I do to fix it, is entirely different, instead of someone going like, oh well, yeah, that happened, get over it. It's like, oh yeah, gee,
Yeah.
thanks. Mm.
And that comes down to a lot of the difference between me and my ex. But, not going there.
Ah, yeah, it's fine. But uh And so you're sitting here, you don't want to do some of the same things that happened to you from your parents. So, what are some of the things that you accidentally created that you're helping take accountability for and trying to repair or amend with your children?
I have always, and this was a side effect of my upbringing,
Mm,
was I minimize myself very, very badly.
mm,
Um, I will put everybody before me, and the way I was raised, it was if you're a guest at somebody's house, you do what they want because it's their home. If somebody's a guest at your house, you do what they want because they're your guest.
yeah.
There was never you get to do what you want part in that. It
Mm-hmm.
was always somebody's older, somebody's wiser, somebody's better, somebody's newer, somebody's, you don't assume people want your company. If they want your company, they'll ask you.
Mm,
And I am terrible about keeping in touch with people because of that. And I unfortunately passed this whole minimize yourself, don't, don't want things, do for others, don't do for yourself. And that is a horrible cycle to get into. And I realize that now. So I have been trying to help my kids get out of that because both of them do it. So
mm,
both my son and my eldest. So,
mm. Oof. Yeah, I mean, you just brought up a really strong one there too, because I went through the same thing. You know, it's like if you're a guest over at someone's house, you behave, you respect them, blah blah blah. It's their house, their rules. But if we have other people over, we gotta kind of cater to their whim because they're the guest. And it's kind of like my parents had certain rules and stuff like that. That was like, this is how our house is, but you're still going to like not going to let the guest feel uncomfortable and stuff like that. I don't know. There's a weird kind of dynamic there that I've always been struggling with myself, and it's strange that you even brought that up because it's like maybe I need to work on that a little bit more. And but I was really good at sacrificing myself to make sure that like even my parents were happy and stuff like that
yep.
because if I didn't do what they wanted, then I didn't get love, I didn't get acceptance, I didn't get that worth, and it was like,
Mm-hmm.
oof. So what do I do? And now that I'm away from home and everything like that, and disowned by them, it's kind of like, oh, it's almost freeing. But then, like at the time that we're recording, Mother's Day is tomorrow. So first of all, happy Mother's
Yeah.
Day, and
Thank you.
of course. And I'm kind of sitting here going like, well, what do I do for Mother's Day? And it's going to feel weird if I tell my aunt's Happy Mother's Day, but not my own mother. So I don't know how that. I'm still battling how that one makes me feel, but it's like I'm not the one to pull the plug on that relationship. So it's like, am I carrying this guilt or am I not carrying a guilt? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, hmm.
And
But
that's something you have to figure out. I mean, I would love to sit here and say, if she's the one that was the toxic one in that and just, F her. But, it's not my relationship. I'm not you. I can't make that call.
mm-hmm.
But, like, I know I'll hear from my kids tomorrow because they're awesome like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. I, the last few years of my mom's life, I had a very, very difficult relationship with her because I was starting to see everything that was
Mm,
going on because I'd started trying to actually work on myself and um, I was seeing the toxicity and the duplicity and was just like, you're not even giving me base respect. And that was a really hard one to come to. And just kind of, I was trying to pull back, but she was alone in a nursing home, and so it was like I had the guilt, and Dad had asked me to look after her before he passed, and
mm.
it was a thing. But when she passed, I went through this whole phase of feeling guilty and horrible because I didn't feel guilty and horrible that
Oh
she
man.
passed. It was kind of like I'm free. Oh wait, I shouldn't. They shouldn't say that. But
Yeah.
family relationships are hard and they
Mm-hmm.
are intricate and twisted and knotted and If you find somebody who figures out a good path, let me know because I'm still trying.
I'll definitely be sure to send you their information because I'm right there with you. It's family relationships are hard. They're like you said, they're intricate, and I think that even if the I don't think it's so much as a like plain and cut and dry kind of thing of like, oh, this one person screwed up. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely situations like that, but I think a lot of the
Hmm.
times it's where like it's easy to overlook what part we played because it's our life, it's our story, and it's like, oh well, you did this to me, and but it's also like I was kind of gaslit into being like, oh, I always have to like be good to the parents because they're my parents, and not necessarily
Yeah,
gaslight, but I was guilt tripped a lot, and that
that's
was
the
one of those
one.
things.
Yep.
Yeah, and that like, oh, me and my older sister like recognized it, and we were like, stop doing this, and what do you mean? And it's like, so
Yeah.
yeah. Like trying to stick up for yourself as a kid or teenager does not really work. And so, I mean, did you have to deal with that kind of stuff too? Like, if you try to self advocate, if you try to stick up for yourself, was that talking back? Well, like, did you have to handle that?
Yeah. Got punched in the nose once.
Oof.
They threatened me, and this is probably a purely 80s thing. They threatened me with one of those bad child boot camps,
Oof.
where, yeah. And that was because I got a B instead of an A.
Ah.
And yeah, that's welcome to my parents.
Hmm.
So you needed to match the couch, and if you didn't match the couch, you needed to at least match the throw pillows. So
Oof. That's rough. And I mean, that's one of those things. Like, did your parents help you with your academic in like grades or anything like that? Was it like, oh, you have homework and you have to do the homework, or did they help you try to understand the subjects?
if they could help me understand it, like I could go to my dad about math. My dad
Hmm.
was an accountant and he had all of that locked down. So he would try to help me with math. Now, when it got to geometry, I was really on my own and that really sucked because my spatial awareness is nil. Um,
Mm.
but, and that's the only class I got a D in and actually didn't get punished for. But, um, no, they were once I was old enough to realize, okay, this is the schedule. You get home from school, you do your homework, you don't play, you don't do anything until your homework is done.
Mm.
And then you can play until dinner, and then it's dinner, bath, wind down, read, whatever. Um, once I got that, I was on my own, and they were working, and it was your homework better be done by the time we get home, or there better be a damn good reason. So it
Oof.
it it just became habit because when you're a teenager, when you're young, you don't know any better really. It's just that's the way things are. And if you try to say, I don't think this is how that's supposed to go, they will lock you down real hard and be like, no, actually, this is how it goes because our house, our rules. So,
Yeah.
sure you heard
Oh.
that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Many many
Yep.
times. And yeah, getting punched in the nose though, that ow, that would have hurt. Uh,
It
no
didn't.
thanks. Sorry that that happened. Hopefully you're
That's
not like
okay.
one of my friends' late fathers who could like push his nose all the way in and side to side and stuff. Because yeah, his
No,
cartilage,
no, no,
yeah,
no, no.
his cartilage was just gone. It was weird to watch and
Oh,
like very, but so
no, it
I
didn't
don't think
break.
that.
It was just it bled a little bit. That was just, and he'd been drinking,
Ugh,
so that was just kind of, eh.
yeah,
It
yeah,
happened. It was a thing. I understand where it was coming from because he was self-medicating, but the bipolar, and
mm-hmm,
he didn't know any better. So,
yeah, yeah.
but again,
Um,
understanding where it comes from doesn't negate the fact that it happened.
Yeah. And so that's where now that you understand where stuff came from, does that make it necessarily easier to deal with? Or are there still moments where you're like, I wish things were different? And do you kind of write that into your stories?
I I don't think I write that into my stories much at all.
Hmm.
The only thing I think that I wish was different that I have written into stories in a few areas is having a sibling to help. You know,
Mm.
just having that extra person so that it's not always my fault
Mhm.
and somebody else to take the blame, to shoulder the burden, that kind of stuff. Just, I'm not the one on my own trying to manage everything, you know.
Mhm.
But in doing that, that also set me up for success when at there's a convention in Florida called Spooky Empire, and they have an
Ooh.
author track. And that author track, there's programming and there's a big, huge table and all this other stuff. And I was helping the author track. And then the person who was in charge of it got sick and couldn't make it. And guess who got thrown in charge of the entire author track
You?
11 hours before the convention? 3 weeks
You?
after major surgery. Yes.
Oh no.
But you know what? I went in there and I did it, and they had nothing prepped for us.
Oof.
And there was like one small table, and I'm like, we've got 40 authors that are putting books down. We need bigger tables. And they're like, well, sorry. And I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, nobody's at that one. Nobody's at that one. No, guys, go get those, bring them over. We'll apologize later if anybody says anything. Apologize later, take now. So, and that was my whole, and I ran it, and the programming went off, all the panels went off without a hitch.
Mhm.
Everybody got their signing time, the table was perfect, the inventory was pretty good. I did a good job handling the sales, I was told. So I did it on my own. And that was kind of a thing of, well, if I'd had somebody to shoulder everything while I was being brought up, being raised, everything else, maybe I wouldn't have had the ability to rise to that situation. So
Mm.
it's everything is subjective.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really cool story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Uh,
And I came out of that weekend feeling like I could fly. I really
oh
did.
yeah. Oh, I bet. Because that would have been one of those things like had they said or had they presented that before your surgery, you probably would have been like, "Nah, I'm not going to be up for that. I'll just be done with like getting done with surgery, and so I'll just have to pass." And so you really did quite literally rise up to the occasion, which is really really cool.
Yeah, and that was for timeline. That was right after Hurricane Ian,
Oof.
which was a Cat 5 hurricane that landed ground zero where I lived in Cape Coral,
Ooh.
Pine Island, and I was in the hospital for emergency surgery. It wasn't planned. Um, yeah.
Oof.
So I was in the hospital watching the air conditioning fly off the roof after surgery. And 3 weeks later, I get thrown in charge of this. And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Hit me.
What else can go wrong?
Right?
That's really cool because I mean, do you think that that's resilience or do you think that's adaptability? What kind of characteristic do you attribute all that to?
I think it's both, honestly.
Mm.
Um, Being able to adapt to the situation and just go, they gave us a single and a room with no chairs. Okay, no, we're fixing this. And then resilience to not just, go, things are falling off the hospital roof, help, you know. um,
Oh,
So I mean, it was resilience, it was adaptability, it was support because there were a few authors there already that were ready to check in, that were big burly guys and could move things because I couldn't pick up a dang thing. It
mm.
was it was gut surgery. It was emergency gut surgery, which everything hurts after that.
Ugh,
Um, there was no
that,
picking anything up for me. So
yeah.
they helped me. They brought it all in. They got everything moved, and the con people would just walk by and go, "You didn't have that many tables," and I'm like, "No, we didn't, but we needed them, didn't we? Don't you see?" You know, and they're like, "Okay." Nobody ever asked for an apology.
No, that's awesome. Uh, Next time that that happens, you should just be like, well, y'all didn't have that many tables. You just bring up your purse or whatever, be like, bag of holding right here.
I should. That's great.
uh,
My post it could be.
um, I mean, and so you had your the authors that were there to help out. Do you consider them part of your chosen family as well?
Some of them are. Some of them very much are. Some of them are just people I run into at conventions and we're good acquaintances,
Hmm.
and maybe friends, but they're not chosen family. Whereas people like Val, who I mentioned earlier, who is the founder of Battle Goddess Press, um, among many other things, she is part of my chosen family. I think I am part of hers at this point because we hang out so often online at night that like
Hmm.
her husband will come in and talk to me online. When he hears me, he'll come in and say, give jokes and things like that. And it's like I'm part of the family. The kids know who I am. Never met them, but I see them on camera. They see me, and it's just like, oh, it's Amanda. You know. So, and the Tabletop Misfits, which was the whole board game tabletop group I was part of down in Cape Coral, they still claim me. I'm still
Hmm.
Misfit Amanda. So, which is wonderful, and I miss them
Yeah.
terribly. But.
Huh. That is way too cool. And having that kind of chosen family to where it's like, oh, it's an online voice chat or whatever, and someone just walks in the room and knows who so and so is talking to, and it just hops in conversation midway. That shows that y'all are pretty close, and maybe even closer than a lot of
Yeah,
families are with each other, which is really awesome.
probably, probably, yeah. But
Um.
yeah, no, Val and Jen and I are like the three amigos, and then there's I have others like my best friend is also an Amanda, and so
Mm.
we are Amanda Geddon, which is great fun. She's also an author. And
Ah.
when we hit cons together, it's like, oh crap, they're here.
Uh, do y'all go by Amanda 1, Amanda 2, or how do y'all work out that situation if y'all are in the same room?
She goes by Amanda, and I
Uh,
just generally drop the first A.
ah.
So I'm Amanda, but it's they can generally either go the short one, the blonde one, the fat one, the skinny one, just
Mm.
whatever, or just point. It's like what it doesn't matter. We're good. If we both answer to it, and if you need further delineation, just point.
Hmm. in in that regard, like how much has that chosen family, especially like Val and Jen, how much have they helped with your like recovery journey? Because I mean, I don't think any one person can do recovery all on their own. They have to be in charge of it. They have to be responsible. But I think having other people along the path helps out exponentially, you know?
It does. And they have been incredible. You and Jordy have been incredible to have in that chosen family as well, because you are. um, but it's good because we get to just, and especially with Val and Jen, because we're authors. There's somebody's online and there's a sigh, and it's like, okay, is that a writing sigh or a personal sigh? And let's get
Mm,
into it. And if it's a writing side, it's like, okay, what's the problem? What's going on? How can we unlock this? And if it's a personal side, what's going on? Okay, you got this going on. How can let's talk through this? What are the steps we can take to fix it?
mm,
Because none of us have had a non-traumatic life. And I think that really can go for most everybody out there. I don't think anybody out there has gone without an issue, without a trauma, without some kind of big emotional giant elephant right in the middle of that line.
yeah.
Um, so we all have our problems. We all have different histories, different ways we were raised, and it works to help bring some of that into play a little bit,
Mm,
because me looking at a problem will be different as to how you look at a problem, which would be different as to how Val looks at conquering a problem, and it becomes a thing of everybody's collected knowledge in your chosen family helping you look at this thing and fix it.
mm. Ooh, I love that. And I 100% agree that you're part of the chosen family. And also the whole fact that I don't think anyone really has not a traumatic life, or at least growing up to a certain degree. And then even after that, I think that we still go through traumas one way or another.
Oh
And
yeah.
I forget who it was that I was speaking to. I think it was probably Dr. Bruce Chalmer, a couples therapist. I think it was him that mentioned that like it's actually abnormal to grow up without any traumas. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point. I think
Yeah.
people just like to shove it under the rug and like, oh, look at our nice pretty house. It's so good. And then you walk in the front door and it's like that Hollywood kind of set to where it's like just the first 2 inches are actually good.
Yeah.
Everything else is just like a trailer park or something way behind. It's all decrepit and falling apart.
Yeah. Like you have this beautiful, wonderful house and nothing in it.
Yeah. uh, and I mean, but that's kind of the cool part is whenever we start to do this trauma healing, whenever we start to recover, we get to choose what furniture we put in. We get to choose what flowers we plant in the garden. We get to choose what other things just go on because it is our life. It is something that we get to do. And I mean, you get to help share your experiences in your world with everyone else because you put it out there and on pages, and that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's I am a little crazy, but
All the best people are.
right? No. No, I'm over ambitious is what I am,
Eh.
but that also has been part of my healing, the writing and the fact that I'm here on my own and I've decided that I'm just going to follow my dream, and my dream since I was a child has been to be a published author.
Mhm.
And I had a TikTok short that I did that shows the list that I was doing for my recent one that I turned into my editor. And there's 12 books on that list now, where it's books by Amanda Fasciano,
Uh-huh.
and it's now up to 12. And I'm like, oh, I have a list now. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
you know, I'm throwing everything I have into that because that's the only thing that has ever remained a constant in my life was I wanted to be this.
Mm.
And now I don't have anyone saying, no, I need you to do this instead. No, you have to do this other thing. You need to spend your time doing this. You need to spend your money doing this. It's like, nope, I get to pick now.
Yeah. That is way too cool. And you said it's the one constant in your life that hasn't really changed since you were growing up. And I mean, I'm curious like do you think that that was part maybe not the part but like an end goal? Like was that the goal you saw over in the horizon and you're like I want to get there no matter what it takes. And then that's what kind of prompted all this healing subconsciously maybe?
Maybe that's a good point, and I hadn't really thought of it framed like that. Because the time I decided to start really working on myself was when I started going to conventions
Hmm.
and realized I really needed to get over that whole social anxiety thing I've got. Um, so that was, yeah, you can't be behind a table in a convention with 20,000 people if you're sitting there going, make me small and invisible, please. You know, so that I think is what started it. So, yeah, I think thank you, because yeah, I think it does go hand in hand with that. Me trying to follow that dream back when I first self-published in 2016 to when I got picked up in 2022 by Four Horsemen. Um, that has really been an impetus to heal, to push, to be able to get through these things, so that I am better equipped to stay calm and not break down when I'm faced with a room of a whole bunch of people that I have to try to get through, talk to, say, hey, look at me. I want to tell you about this,
Mm.
which me being the center of attention on anything is never comfortable for me, ever.
Uh-huh.
I've gotten really good at doing these because it goes with the job, but it took me a while to learn to relax into
Mm.
it. First couple of interviews, I was like, shoulders worn as earrings, and uh, very stiff, very not smiling because I was terrified. But doing all of this work has really helped. So it
Yeah.
does go hand in hand, and I had not made that connection. Thank you.
Of course. I mean, I don't know if I can even like say of course to that. It's just one of those questions because I mean, I don't know what childhood dreams I necessarily had growing up. I except for like maybe being a pro skateboarder and that ain't happening anytime soon. And I mean, but that was one of those things, like my body just won't do it anymore. And if I did try to do it, it'd fall apart really quick. So
I hear
uh
that.
yeah, and I mean, I'm just so excited though because you got to do that. You got to chase a dream. You got to actually live it and you didn't give up on yourself. And that is some amazing work right there because so many people do give up on themselves. And I think that you're a beacon, a lighthouse for so many other people to sit there and be like, well, if she can do it, I can do it too. And
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Try.
yeah. And I mean, not only that, but your characters are going to inspire people as well because a lot of people don't necessarily go like, "Oh, J.R.R. Tolkien, he went and wrote all this really cool stuff." Some people do, but some people go like, "You know who gave me hope? A 3.5 foot hobbit that said that there's some good in this world worth fighting for." It's like you get to
Yeah.
make those kind of cool quotes and characters that live on after the story ends. And I think that
Yep.
that's really awesome.
Thank you.
Of
I
course.
appreciate that.
I appreciate you. And we are nearing the end of this episode. So I know that I asked before, and I believe we can see you on in the future again because this has been an amazing conversation. And I don't think we've hit every aspect that there is to hit with trauma recovery or just healing and like writing stories and stuff because, like you said, everything is subjective. And maybe our opinions or viewpoints, perspectives, all that, maybe they change on one thing or another and as we
Yeah,
go because if we were to be super static then nothing would change and we'd still be
exactly.
yeah we'd be the age that we are if we reversed it if you're the same age I am so just
There you go.
um well, Amanda, is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience with this afternoon to help them in their recovery journeys?
Just don't stop. It's like to boil it down to something really simple and probably stupid. It's like Dory and Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep trying. Just don't say I shouldn't do this. Coloring is beneath me, or playing with the figures, action figures, or whatever is beneath me. Just don't do you. Do you. What figure out what you is and just go for it.
Mm,
That's what the world needs.
yeah. Ah, I love that. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Well,
Yes. And
uh,
and one of my things that I do is as a personal thing, I try to be the person in the world that I would like to see more of.
yeah.
Whether that's talking to, people who need inspiration for writing and helping them, whether it's just befriending people who maybe need a friend in that moment, or somebody who looks like they're having a bad day and say, "Hey, I really like your hair. It looks great today." Make them smile. Just that's what I try to do.
Yeah. I love that. Just try to be the change you want to see in the world, be the person you want to
Yeah.
be. And I mean, a lot of magic will happen with those things. So thank you for highlighting that. And thank you for bringing it to other people's attention for their recovery journeys. But unfortunately, we have come to the end of this episode. So, everyone else out there, thank you for listening to Guidance and Recovery on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, try to love yourself, love others if you can, but you gotta try to love yourself first. And be your favorite version of yourself today if you can. Doesn't have to be the best version, just the part that you like the most in the moment. So if you want to go paint on the wall or something, I don't know. But don't be too destructive, I guess. I don't know. Don't listen to me. I'm just a podcast host. So with that being said, if you're having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988 or you can text 741-741. And with that being said, we'll see y'all in the future. So until then, much love.
Much love.
Schlan.